Hello, and thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to join me today. I hope that there is something within this video that is a benefit to you or to somebody that you know. Please like, subscribe, and share as it does help. We are mainly focused on YouTube, but we're not only on YouTube. We're also on Rumble, Odyssey, and Locals. We are on Minds and Gettr. So you can find us if something should happen, even to a small channel like mine, which is also really interesting. I kind of want to go into something now. I am an accountant. I have a small accounting firm. I have many years of accounting experience behind me. However, I do not give financial advice in video format. I do give financial commentary, but not financial advice. Moving on from that, just want to make sure it's clear and everybody understands that. Because why? Well, today I want to look at what everybody I watch on YouTube has been talking about. Even me, I've been talking about it. And it's the Crowder versus Daily Wire contract. I am going to say, I want to start by looking, there's plenty of people who can comment on this. I want to give my 2 cents as an accountant, kind of going now. This is a horrible deal. This deal, I don't even think I would be tempted to take if they came to me with it and said, "Here you go." I get some interaction on Rumble. I get a lot more interaction on Rumble than I do YouTube. So if you watch me only on YouTube, I recommend you go to Rumble and you help me there as well. This deal, now, I recommend you go ahead, if you wish. You can take the time and listen to Jeremy talk about it. I will encourage you to keep one thing in mind. This is why me and the Navy kind of have a misunderstanding still. If it's not in black and white, don't matter. It's as simple as that. Even as an accountant, I can tell you that. If it's not written on the paper, then it doesn't matter. It's not there. And anything from that point on that could be implied to benefit the contract holder will usually be interpreted that way in court. Why? Because you don't have the money that the Daily Wire has obviously bragged about it having when it talks about being able to bring cases before the federal court. Not everybody can do that, especially because this was kind of designed as hey, this is a small business. It takes a lot to get to the point of like, oh my gosh, Crowder, I can only dream of being as big as Crowder. But then again, it's kind of like, I don't want to be president. Why? I don't want that kind of stress. I've already had 2 massive coronaries. Don't need it. Um, I don't mind being a small YouTuber. I would like to grow. I would like to be able to monetize, make some money off of this. I mean, being semi-retired every once in a while, having a little extra income, especially when eggs are $6 a dozen. Unheard of. Actually, it's not unheard of. It's very sickening. Moving on. At first, the deal seems good. And why? Because they start off with this big $50 million number. But when you look into the contract, you look what's in black and white, it tells you a different story. As I said, you can go to plenty of other YouTubes. They're happy to show you. Even Jeremy Boring goes over the contract and adds to it. I'm just going to breeze over a couple of interesting things to consider when you're looking at a contract. Always have your attorney review it. And yes, having an attorney redline it was still going to cost him money. This whole deal was set up to cost Crowder money. So it calls into question the integrity of Daily Wire for me at the moment. Up front, I'm a subscriber. However, I'm going to let my subscription lapse unless they can do something to persuade me because of the way they've been acting. Calls into question how much big tech controls them, especially when they sit there and they say, oh, this is a standard contract. Yeah, Candace Owens, you got had. Sorry, but maybe you didn't because you said you had your attorneys go over it very well, but you're definitely underpaid for your worth. And the reason I say that again, it was $50 million. Like I said, sounds like a lot of money. Till you realize what that deal comes with, and he'd basically be selling his soul. The $50 million was over 4 years. If you look at the penalties alone, he's looking at the possibility of facing up to 110% in penalties in that contract. You'll say, wait, huh? Well, if you get demonetized on YouTube, gets a strike on YouTube. Now, I've seen big YouTubers They'll get brigaded because they said something that offends somebody, and then get brigaded. They'll get a strike. Boom. Your first strike is never taken away by YouTube, ever. And if we're just looking at YouTube at the moment. So I believe that was like 10%. You can go back. Would have been taken out 20% because he'd been demonetized in the first place, et cetera, et cetera. And basically between all of them, he would end up owing them money over a 4-year period. Because when you break out $50,000 over 4 years, which is what it was a 4-year contract with lots of strings attached. One of those strings was not only would he be over 4 years docked up to 110% of the contract, he also had to cover all of the production costs of his current show, which means he has a staff of about 25 people. Let's assume that we look at the numbers. Say he's got, I think he said he had 26 employees when he was on Timcast. Let's assume he's paying them $25 an hour. Okay, I'm an accountant. I'm allowed to be conservative. We're making general assumptions here because I want to make a point. So you have $25, 40 hours a week. That's $1,000 a week. Times that by 52, and you come up with 52,000 for one employee. Times that by 26, and you come up with $1.352 million for the 26 employees. Add another, multiply it by another, 54% for taxes. Let's be generous again and conservative. So that's another, there's $2 million in payroll alone that he has to pay out still because he bears the responsibility of the production in that contract. So there's cost to consider. That's not getting into how much is he paying for whatever building he's doing his filming in, how much security he has to pay for. And the security may be part of that, which again, I don't think getting paid just $25 an hour, because it also doesn't mean that Crowder can monetize. So all the money that he's making, all the ad revenue from YouTube is going to the Daily Wire because, quote unquote, Jeremy Boring has to cover production costs. But that's not what the contract says. There's the catch. The second catch that I noticed was that basically they became privy to anything Crowder did during those 4 years, and they had the ability to create things. So say they said, hey, Crowder, we want to come up with, and Mercader Law said this, was Chowder with Crowder, where he sits down, I don't know, with comedians and they talk politics, or they talk how the comedy scene has changed from when this particular comedian did comedy till now because of the fascism in America. And then after the 4-year period, if he left, that show and all the products, any merchandise that is made from that show stays with the Daily Wire forever, including his visage, his social media accounts. These all became property of the Daily Wire. He couldn't even do like where I have another channel. I don't promote it on here, which is my gaming channel. Because, well, let's face it, I like games, which is kind of a little reason why I haven't come out with a video lately. I've been busy playing Red Dead Redemption 2. So if he was to do something like that while he was with the Daily Wire, that's still property of the Daily Wire. Anything that's created during the 4-year period is their property from that point on. Any merchandise is solely the property of the Daily Wire from that point on. Okay, Jeremy, this isn't about the money. It started off as between friends. You don't offer that kind of a deal to friends. There have been multi-million-dollar deals that have been broken because the first offer just was horrible. And this is a horrible deal. So that was number 2. Point number 3. He had to read, he could only refuse 10% of the ad reads. And I think there was something kicked around about 10 ad reads a year. And he could only refuse 10%. Who keeps the money from the ad reads? Well, it wouldn't be Steven Crowder. That would be going all to the Daily Wire. Now, the money they make from ad reads is just, it's obnoxious. That's a good word for it. And maybe Mr. Shapiro makes about $150,000 per ad read 7 years ago. I mean, who knows how much he's charging now? And this again. Well, what if they have him do 3 ad reads in a show? How long are the shows supposed to be? On top of that, there's the number of shows that have to be produced that Steven Crowder has to produce and has to come up with. It's 192. Now, why is that like, oh my gosh? Well, let's take 192 divided by, say, 52. It's 3.69. So he's basically got to come up with 3 to 4 shows a week. I can tell you that if you don't have, I mean, so obviously somebody's writing for him now at this point to come up with the shows because, and it's kind of obvious, it's probably, he employs people to help him, right? So that's basically, we can call it 4 shows a week. That's a lot of shows to produce, and go over. That's burnout. I mean, and you do that for 4 years, yeah, that's going to burn somebody out. There's no holidays, really, no. But he has to produce that. And if he doesn't produce that, he gets dinged. So again, this is a contract that was set up specifically to make him lose money. Is the kind of thing the music industry would offer, which kind of explains why Kanye's a little off sometimes. He gets into these contracts that sound good, but when you get down to it, he ends up paying these record companies money. This is the same thing with the Daily Wire. This is why I'm called into question their motives. They claim to be conservative. They claim to be in this to change things. And yet it's all about the money and the control, because it doesn't take much for the feds to come in and have your channel struck. We've already, I mean, just look at the Twitter files that have come out, videos. I mean, there's tons of videos about that. It's not a conspiracy theory. And I've watched my own channel get throttled. As small as my channel is, I've watched it get throttled on certain topics. It's a lot of shows to produce. And again, he gets dinged if it goes down even. That contract was a horrible contract. So he put out a list, and I think he said he had like 350,000 people that were confirmed that if he said join the Daily Wire, they would. Because again, they're looking at that. How many people is he going to be bringing in as well? How many people are going to come in? How many people are going to want to stay with the Daily Wire? Because Crowder's there. He's a little bit different. He doesn't quite walk the same line, politically, as these others who are Trump deniers. They wanted you to take they encouraged you to take the vax. Again, for me, that's still, I didn't take it. The CDC is called into question. I don't even know what's safe on YouTube to say about that whole thing, which that should be enough to go. It's frustrating that, anyways, that's YouTube. That's YouTube. And so this is why I have also spread out on Rumble and other things, Rumbles and Locals, Odyssey as well. The Daily Wire is trying to push that out there. So again, they're trying to get more people. And again, how much money were they looking at making? So they're looking at making $3 million a month from Crowder coming in, just conservative estimates. He has 6 million followers, I think, is what's being kicked around on YouTube. It's a lot of people. Anyway, so conservatively, that's like another $3 million a month for Daily Wire. They're paying him $12,000 a year, or $12 million a year. It was definitely an insulting offer. For some, it would seem like it's a good thing, but you always got to look at what's written in black and white. Now, Jeremy said, oh, well, he can do those shows. He can take things with him when he leaves. And it's like, but the contract says anything that's done during that 4 years becomes them. So they're basically buying him out with the option, for after 4 years, with the option of another 2 years extension at their sole discretion. I think that one was for, that part of the offer was for $25 million. So you're talking $75 million over 6 years. Not a cool, and he's still got to carry the brunt of the expenses. Yeah, that wasn't an offer that was even worth taking. So that's the big thing that's going around in the circles that I'm in, that I listen to, I should say, of people talking about that. And of course, with the Daily Wire having come out, defending itself so hardly, it makes me again suspicious about what they're trying to project. And then again, well, you've got Ben Shapiro going, oh, well, that's confidential. It was confidential, but it wasn't signed. So Crowder, now his big thing was more is this the deal you're offering new content creators? And basically, the Daily Wire is saying, yes, let them be wage slaves. This says something about Jeremy's perspective of people as a whole. Let them be wage slaves for 4 years, build their brand, and then they're off on their own. Well, again, not according to that contract. According to that contract, the Daily Wire keeps everything, and you're building your business from the beginning, namesake only. Yeah, that's not easy to do. Yet again, and again, Crowder's been doing this for, I understand, 6 years now. Probably a lot more. I mean, he said just one of his episodes costs $50,000 alone just to produce. So, when you start considering how much does it cost to produce the episodes, etc., we're not privileged to all that. It's a privately owned company. I'm just saying there's not really a good offer. And again, there's a lot where he could end up paying the Daily Wire if something should happen. Say he says something that offends people. It can't be resolved by the Daily Wire in 90 days. That was another clue that worried me, but we'll leave that one alone. So again, I encourage everybody, have your attorneys look over any contracts before you sign them. If you don't have an attorney, can make a recommendation. Have your attorneys look it over beforehand, especially contracts, before you sign them. Again, I know like an offer like that sounds good. That's why they open with 50 million. But in the end, it's really set up to put him out of business. That's pretty much it. While they reap all the rewards and benefits from it. Because again, all that information that's gathered while he's a member of the Daily Wire becomes specifically the possession solely of the Daily Wire. I don't know if I like that, especially when you're trying to be independent and start your own business. How much I want to build my business just to have somebody buy it off for such a little bit amount of money. Because when you stop to think about it, if he's supposed to have like 400,000 people that are confirmed. So if he started his own website like Tim Pool and charged $10, and that's 400,000 people that are willing to pay $10 a month to him. He's now making $4 million a month. Let's just say let's go conservative, and it's half of that. It's 200,000 people are willing to pay $10 a month to him to start his own business. He very possibly could very soon build something that would actually rival the Daily Wire if he chose to do so, which might, he says he's not the businessman to run it, which might be a smart thing. I do recommend, it does sound like he does have a very good businessman with him who goes by the name of Gerald. He was on Tim Pool with him today. So maybe he's the one to look more into it. But it's very possible that he could be making himself an easy $4 million a month, which again makes that deal. Because, I mean, Tim Pool's making a decent amount of money too. And he's got a lot less people. I mean, he was talking today about how just having Crowder on Tim Pool tripled his numbers that he could make. So yeah, Crowder could make himself a lot of money and really do something. Take the time, consider doing it. It's very possible you could find yourself rivaling the Daily Wire. And with them having, again, while they're saying it's standard business practice, they represent more gatekeeping of the conservative party. I don't think that's what we need right now, especially when you have so many Republicans that are still anti-Trump. It's not that I'm anti-Trump. He's getting old. And I want somebody who's going to be able to live with their mistakes around here, unlike, say, Nancy Pelosi. Now, I also wanted to add that if you're being demonetized, you have the chance to use other platforms to bring in more monetization. Not so much of, oh, well, I can't share this opinion here, go to our other page, or like some people are doing, or anyways, there are ways of encouraging you. But if you get demonetized, if you take a look at, say, Rekieta Law, he got demonetized on YouTube, and he's never made more money. He says he's on Rumble and Locals, and he's monetized there. And he says he's never made more money and it's less stressful than worrying if you're on YouTube, he can just be deleted. Well, his channel can just be deleted for no reason. So with demonetization, you have a chance to promote other channels or other platforms other than YouTube. And a lot of them are growing. If you get into YouTube, we've only just scratched the surface. Even saying, some of these really big channels, they just barely touch the surface of even just the 6 billion users that YouTube is supposed to have access. So with that, before I get myself banned, I'd like to say, take the time. Please like, subscribe, comment, share this video, leave a thumbs up. I can say that on Rumble as well, because I know I'm getting interaction on Rumble. You can follow us on YouTube, support us on Rumble and Locals, as well as Odyssey, and view our content there. Please like, subscribe, and share. Feel free to leave a comment down below because it really does help. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to join us. United we stand, divided we fall. God bless you, and God bless America.